Hi everyone. My name is Lynn, and I was invited as a guest speaker to talk to you guys about my personal experience with financial literacy and personal finance. So here's the agenda for today. I want to give a little background on who I am and what I do, then jump into talking about how to save and invest. So a little bit about me. I graduated from UC Berkeley as an economics major back in 2019, and I've been working as a tax accountant at an accounting firm called PwC for a little over 2 years now. Currently, I got promoted like half a year ago, and I'm a senior tax associate working in the real estate financial services group. So, what do I exactly do? As you can probably guess, my job is to prepare tax returns for our company's clients. I work in the real estate group, so all the clients I work with are large real estate companies that buy and sell houses and buildings. Generally speaking, most companies don't have a big enough tax department and enough expertise to prepare the returns for all the hundreds of smaller entities they have within their company. So they hire accounting firms such as mine to do the work for them. So around late December, January is when we receive financial information from the client, and then we start with the preparation. We mostly use Microsoft Excel to analyze and calculate the client's taxable income and other important numbers, and finally input them on the tax return itself using a tax software. We then electronically file the returns to the IRS, and our work is done. So tax work itself is pretty seasonal, since you pretty much file taxes once a year, right? And generally, there are two busy seasons within tax. One's during December through April, and which is where we prepare all the returns, and during September when we actually file the returns. So outside of this time period, work is pretty chill and slow, but during tax season is crazy busy. This past tax season, there were around 900 returns that my team had to prepare in like a 4 month time frame. So you can see why I had to work really long hours during December through April. All right, so that's enough about my job. And let's get to the main topic of today's webinar, which is personal finance. So my goal for today's webinar is to tell you my story of how I got started in investing and saving at a young age, and in turn, hopefully inspire you guys to do the same. I think there are 3 stages to personal finance. First step is to save money. Second step is to invest the money that you save so that your money makes money for you. And step 3 will be financial freedom that you achieve through step 1 and 2 so that you're able to buy and do whatever you want, right? So now let's talk about the first step, which is saving. So most of you are probably in elementary and middle school right now and receive an allowance from your parents, right? Most of you probably think that you don't receive enough, right? I felt the same way back in elementary school. I never had enough money to buy the snacks or games I wanted. I used to get like $5 a week for allowance, which didn't leave me with much to spend on things I liked. You can try to, maybe ask your parents to raise your allowance, but that's probably not going to happen. While it's important to learn how to save your allowance, that's something that everyone knows. So I want to kind of teach you guys something a little different, which is creating a side hustle to create extra income. I remember on my way home from school in Korea, I would pass by this fried chicken place and crave this thing called corn pop, but couldn't buy it as often as I wanted because it was pretty expensive. Corn pop, which is short for cola and popcorn chicken, as you can see on the screen, is this it's like popcorn chicken in a little cup along with like soda. I think this was around like $6, $7, and I would have to save up like 2 weeks of allowance just to able to get it once. But then I realized that I can make money by selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I would save up the entire month to buy an entire booster box, then would sell the individual rare cards during lunch break in the restroom. Doing this, I was able to, eat cold pop 2, 3 times a week on a regular basis without having to wait. Anyone could have done what I did, right? If they were smart enough or patient enough to realize that you can buy a booster box and make more money off of it, but none of them were as passionate or interested in Yu-Gi-Oh cards as I was, and really just wanted the rare cards for their deck. So they would, pay me $10, $15 for just one rare card when the box itself was like 25. So what's the moral of the story? As a kid, it's not like you can hold a job like your parents and make money. So you have to find a different way to make money, right? You have to find a side hustle other than just the allowance you get from your parents. Maybe it's doing more chores for your parents for more allowance. Maybe it's doing something like a lemonade stand. Either way, I think it's a good idea to start brainstorming possible side hustles and even from a young age. I know people who buy and sell comic books, special presidential coins, sports cards, Pokemon cards. The possibilities are endless if you put your mind to it. Many of you guys might be still doubtful about if this is something that you can do. So let me show you a real life example that I saw in the news recently. Meet Benjamin Amend. He's a 12-year-old who loves learning to code. He recently got into the crypto space, more specifically with NFTs, which stand for non-fungible tokens. For those of you who aren't familiar with NFTs, it's basically a piece of art you can own digitally and is currently hot space with a lot of money pouring into it. Think of it as like a Fortnite skin or like a League of Legends skins, something that you kind of use to present yourself on the internet. As someone who loves coding, he decided to make his own NFT collection called Minecraft Yeehaw. It didn't sell right away, but for Benjamin, it was more of a learning experience and more for his enjoyment because he was passionate about coding. Then he used the experience he gained from his first NFT collection he made. Then he coded his second NFT collection called Weird Whales, as you can see on the screen. Weird Whales was an instant hit and it sold out in 9 hours. He made around $350,000 just from this NFT collection he coded. I know this example is a little bit extreme since 99% of the people won't make that much money through a side hustle. And Benjamin is obviously very gifted to be able to be coding NFTs at such a young age. But it really goes to show how your hobby or your passion can lead to extra income. Obviously, me selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards doesn't compare to Benjamin's NFT collection. But I want to show you that there are so many different ways to make money if you look hard enough. If you're able to incorporate your hobby or your interest, and it's an even better idea. I was able to buy and sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards back in elementary school because I was obsessed with them. Even now, I have a side hustle, even though I'm a working professional. I buy and sell rare sneakers and also buy and sell Pokemon cards. At this point, it's less about the money and more about my passion for these two hobbies. I love cool sneakers, so I sell the ones I don't like, then buy the ones I like and wear them. This generates around a couple $1,000s per year. For Pokemon cards, I think the art on the cards are really cool, and it's a new hobby that I just started, so I started collecting them and selling the ones I don't really like. It's never too early to develop a side hustle. So think of one and make enough money to get that new Nintendo Switch or that new PS5 you always wanted without relying on your parents. Visualize your goal and come up with the necessary steps you need to take to get there. Now let's move on to step 2, which is investing. So I think I really got interested in the idea of investing and saving when I first learned of the concept of compound interest. So you all know that when you put money in the bank, you earn money through interest. So for example, let's say you have $1,000 in the bank at first year with a 10% interest rate. Then after the first year, you'll have $1,100 in your bank account. Basically, you earned $100 for keeping your money in the bank for 1 year. But now, if you keep that $1,100 you have after the first year and put in the bank again for one more year, you'll be earning the 10% interest on the $1,100 instead of the initial $1,000. So now after the second year, you have $1,210. Can you tell the difference between the first and the second year? In the first year, you receive $100 from interest, but in the second year, you receive $10 more for a total of $110. That's basically a free Chipotle. This is the power of compound interest. The longer you keep your money invested, the faster it grows over time. So think of the steps to build a snowman. To make a really big snowball at the bottom of the snowman, what do? You first grab snow to make a small snowball, right? This is the money you start out with, your seed money. And then what? You take that snowball you made, then you let it roll in the snow and let the snow stick to the snowball in order to make a giant snowball. This is very similar to how compound interest works. You start out small, but as you keep rolling your snowball, or in this case, your money, it grows and then grows, and it grows faster over time. You can see with this chart that with $1,000, in 25 years, it can grow to $6,000. So the most important thing you can do is save a lot of money so that your initial seed money is a big snowball instead of a small snowball, which will make it easier for you to make more money quickly. Notice how the graph is exponential. It isn't a straight line because the longer your money grows, the longer your money grows, the faster it grows. Now, in terms of actually investing in stocks, I used to practice using a website called Wall Street Survivor back in elementary and middle school. It lets you use fake money to trade stocks in real time so that you are able to practice without risking your own money. Not that I have any back in elementary school, but so I would read Times Magazine and other news articles and trade using fake money to see how I did while I was in middle school. Once I was in high school, I actually traded stocks here and there with real money. I asked my parents to make the trades for me since you need to be over 18 years old to open a brokerage account. So for any of you guys who are interested in learning and trying out stocks but don't have the money or are too scared of the real deal, I highly recommend checking out the website called Wall Street Survivor. They also have courses and other helpful investing articles to educate you if you're curious about learning more. So now that we have talked about, saving and investing, let's talk about why it's important. The bigger picture of all this is financial freedom. You save and you invest so that one day you're eventually financially free. So why is financial freedom important? Financial freedom gives us the ability to enjoy the things we want. Gives us more time for our family, our friends, and our hobbies. Also, just as important, it helps us focus on the things that are important to us. For someone like me, that would be religion, and it really helps me give offerings to the church without feeling a huge burden on my personal income. Maybe for others, it's helping out a good cause by donating to help fight homelessness or starvation around the world, among other things. So ultimately, financial freedom helps you pursue your passion or hobbies and really lets you focus on helping those around you, which is why I think financial freedom is so important. So, if you are interested in learning more about personal finance, here are some of the next steps you can take. One, obviously, start saving, then start thinking of new streams of income that you can develop. Then you can start learning the fundamentals of investing using a virtual stocks market simulator such as Wall Street Survivor. There are a couple, and finally, there are a couple of personal finance YouTubers and influencers that I personally follow and think give good advice. Humphrey Talks is an Instagrammer and YouTuber that makes great content for personal finance. Graham Stephan is also a YouTuber that makes a lot of good educational videos. Um, I included Humphrey Talks Instagram handle on the screen and Graham Stephan's YouTube channel link on the screen as well. So you could just open it with any. It doesn't matter what your age is, right? So
Yeah.
like it says here, if you look at Wall Street Survivor, so there's a lot of investing tools to kind of help you learn about investing ideas like what is swing trading, value investing. These are all different types of investing that you can learn. So there's some starter guides for like manuals to like help you understand how to read a stock, different like metrics and statistics you can look at. And then I think the most fun part about Wall Street Survivor will obviously be playing with fake money. So you get $100,000 of virtual money to pretty much trade like as if you were using real money. And then you would kind of do Wall Street Survivor, and then you would make your username, I don't know, right? And then some password, and you would fill all this out. And then once you agree, and you register, then you're able to trade stocks in real time as if you're using real money, but it's not real, right? It's a tool to help beginners learn how to practice trading. And I think it's a really great way to kind of get your feet wet in the world of investing. And I know this for me helped a lot um, back in the day because you basically, this is where I started out with. Now I just manage my own thing, and I'm up on my portfolio like 170%. So I definitely think this is beneficial if you start investing early because the knowledge just accumulates over time. So I started using this website in elementary school. It goes to show that you can really, you can learn investing at any age, and the younger the better, because like I said earlier, like compound interest, right? So the faster you start investing, the longer your money is going to grow, the more time it has for your money to grow. So the longer it grows, like the faster it grows, more money you're going to be making, right? If you start investing early. So that's why I think it's important to start investing as early as maybe high school, and at the latest probably college. Like once you're in college, like I don't know, you get like an internship or something and you start making a little bit of money. I suggest you put that all into like investing, because once you start investing, your future self is gonna thank you, right? It just the money just keeps on growing. So you can start as early as elementary school, as like I did, but obviously I didn't use real money. I just learned the fundamentals and practice in elementary school and middle school. And then in high school, I used around like $500 of real money. I bought two Apple stocks. Then I remember I made like, I don't know, like $150. Then I bought Netflix and I made like another like $200. And then in college, I was kind of too busy to invest in stuff, so I didn't really invest in college. And now once I started working, I started using the money I got from my job to start investing again. Yeah.
And then what happened to the money that we already spent, like if the stock dropped down so quickly?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a good question. So, like, let's say you spend like $1,000 a month. That's like how much you need to pay your rent, like pay off your car, like buy food, and like do all this stuff. You can't you can't use that $1,000 to invest, because that $1,000 you need to survive. Anything you need, any amount of money you need to survive, you can't touch for investing. Basically, you invest with the money you have left over after you take care of all your needs, right? So after you pay off all your bills, and then after you pay off all your bills, the money you have left over is what you will use for investing, just in case, so that, like you mentioned, if the stock tanks, and then like let's say you put in like $1,000 and it suddenly becomes zero, you're not going to be able to survive, because you can't pay your bills, right? But let's say you pay off your bills and you spend $500 paying off your bills, and you invested $500, and that $500 becomes zero, then you're able to survive, because you already paid off all your bills, and then that $500 left over was like something that you didn't necessarily need, but you just use for investing. And I think there are a lot of great, and then that's one part answer to your question. The second part would be, there are a lot of great ways to mitigate risk when you invest, buying a stock, right? So there are things called index funds, where it's basically one stock that buys a little bit of every single other company. So there's something called the S&P 500, which buys a little bit of every single the top 500 biggest companies in the United States. That way, your your stock will never pretty much like go from like $500 to zero, just because of the fact that it's diversified, which is very important. It's diverse, because it's diversified. Even if one of the companies in the index fund like drops to zero, there are like 499 other companies that already, that are stable. And historically speaking, the S&P 500 generated 10% return over the past 100 years. So that means, historically speaking, if you just put in like $1,000, it's going to generate 10% return every single year. So if you invest properly, you should never lose money over the long term. Yeah.
This is just a bit of a random question, but would Tesla be a good company to invest in?
So I recently had around $11,000 invested in Tesla, but I just sold it actually. So I made a good amount of money. But the thing about investing and telling other people, is this a good stock or is this a bad stock, right? It's really hard to tell because no one can really predict the future. But in my personal opinion, I think Tesla already went up way too much for me to feel comfortable investing more money. So personally, I would look at other undervalued stocks and buy those stocks instead. Because right now, I don't know if you guys follow, how closely you guys follow the stock market, but Tesla had their earnings, I think, either early this week or last week, right? So before earnings, it was already up 40%. Then after earnings, it went up like another 40%. So like, it makes no sense for me. Like, you can kind of FOMO in and just like, yeah, I don't know, you can YOLO in and see if it goes up more. But I feel like it's more likely that Tesla's gonna either stay like flat, plateau, or maybe even drop, right? So I personally, after I sold Tesla, I just started buying other companies.